Problem that I kind of have, and this is just a thing with social media, it's like people are begging for what's it called, like outrage. You know what I mean? Like we kind of live in like an outrage culture where people are begging to be offended. It's weird. Hello. What's up, guys? You guys already know what time it is, man. This is Marvin Light, aka Marvin Reddington, because you know I'm a beast when it comes to the negotiations. Actual name is Mohammed. You know what I'm saying? I wanted to get into like a couple different stuff today. Let's have some fun with it. But first is a little bit more of a serious topic. So obviously, some of you guys who know, I think it was last night, but there was one of the players, Damar Hamlin. He suffered a cardiac arrest following a hit, because I think he plays for the Buffalo Bills, but he suffered a cardiac arrest when he got hit in a game versus the Bengals. His heartbeat was restored on the field, and he was transferred to the UC Medical Center for further testing and treatment. He is currently sedated and listed in critical condition. Right, so this was pretty crazy. Obviously, football is a very dangerous sport. It's a very serious sport, and has had extremely serious injuries, career-ending injuries. The particular thing that I wanted to talk about was a very known, I would say, sports reporter, analyst who goes on a debate show, super known. His name is Bayless. He had a tweet, and his tweet basically sparked a ton of outrage, and this was his tweet. It said, no doubt the NFL is considering postponing the rest of this game. But how? This late in the season, a game of this magnitude is crucial to the regular season outcome, which suddenly seems so irrelevant. So for those, if you know Skip Bayless, bro, Skip Bayless is a very, very intelligent guy. He's extremely calculated. When I say if you know Skip Bayless, I mean like if you ever watched him. He's a smart guy. He says a lot of wild ish though. I'm not even gonna front to you. Like on a regular basis, he says some of the most, even the stuff that I heard of him say about like LeBron and like a lot of other players and stuff like that is super duper out of left field. But when you understand like entertainment and stuff like that, you can tell that LeBron's a special thing, because he really hates on LeBron for real. But generally speaking, bro, he says certain stuff out of left field because he's on a debate show. He has one person who's saying one thing, so automatically he has to say something of the opposite thing. And typically it's extremely black and white. It's very polar in their perspectives, just to make it entertaining, right? So this tweet was not him saying some stuff, from my opinion, not him saying some stuff to kind of draw attention to himself, and wasn't something that I was out of left field. If you actually look at the fact, he just said, basically a guy got injured, and right now it's an ongoing scenario, but he asked a legitimate question, right? He just said, no doubt the NFL is considering postponing the rest of the game. And then he said, but how? That is legitimate. I don't care what none of you guys tell me. That is a legitimate question, right? Because he's just saying, okay, I understand that they're postponing it, but how? Like, does it make sense? He's essentially asking kind of like why. The most important thing that he said was, he's stating how important the game is, but at the very end he says, which suddenly seems so irrelevant, right? So he's pretty much saying, like, as important as this game is, it doesn't actually matter anymore because of this serious thing that happened. He even says it here. He says, nothing is more, like he responded. He said, nothing is more important than that young man's health. That was the point of my last tweet. I'm sorry if that was misunderstood, but his health is all that matters. Again, everything else is irrelevant. I prayed for him and will continue to. The problem that I kind of have, and this is just a thing with social media, is like people are begging for what's it called, like outrage. You know what I mean? Like we kind of live in like an outrage culture where people are begging to be offended. It's weird, to be honest with you. The most you can say about his tweet is that it was insensitive. I can understand that. I can respect that, and it was obviously insensitive. But he's basically saying like, yo, he's just asking why, like how are we postponing this game when it's so important? And ultimately, It's an ongoing scenario. So God willing, the player that got injured survives. You know what I mean? It's an ongoing scenario. So prayers to him and his family. And in regards to this, Skip Bayless is just asking, like, how can it be postponed? He didn't say anything that was out of left field. He also mentioned that as important as the game is, at this point it's irrelevant because his health is the most important thing. The reason why I have such an issue with like kind of the culture that we're building, especially with social media, is just like, bro, everything is not meant to, everyone's just trying to like find outrage in like everything. Find anything to kind of tear down a person, cancel them. You say one thing that's opposite to what the majority believe. And people didn't even read this tweet, bro. Like, it's a tweet, so sometimes what a person puts out might get lost in translation. It's like a text message, bro. It can get lost in translation, but like, if you're looking for outrage, fam, you could find it anywhere, bro. You know what I mean? Like, at most it was insensitive. I would assume that the game itself is going to happen at some point in time. But what he said was a legitimate question. From a guy who says a lot of ish out of left field for attention, that one did not seem like that's what he was trying to do. He looked like he was just asking an honest question, man. So what's interesting about that is, even when I look at, like, if you guys, this happened obviously weeks ago, but it was the whole thing with my boy Kyrie Irving, my favorite player in the league. Kyrie, it was a very sticky situation. So Kyrie basically, he posted a movie. It was called Hebrews to Negroes, Wake Up Black America. The issue that I had with the whole Kyrie situation was, okay, so basically, just for those who don't know, so Kyrie, he posted this movie, which has, in people's perspective, has some stuff that is anti-Semitic. The thing was, he never actually made a comment on the movie. He didn't make a comment about his thoughts, what he believed, what he didn't believe. He just posted it. And the amount of backlash that hit him was crazy. Granted, obviously, Kyrie doesn't, like, in his history of being in the league, obviously, there's been a lot of situations that hit media, and they hit the media coverage, and a lot of it's been unfair for him. Like, for example, with COVID, him not getting the vaccine, which is his choice. I don't give a damn what nobody says, bro. That's that man's choice. People calling him selfish is like, you should be selfish, bro. It's your body to take care of. He posted this movie clip, and the reason why it was problematic was, instead of basically people asking him like, yo, bro, which part of the movie do you believe in? What is your kind of general thoughts on this? He was attacked and ultimately kind of persecuted, and basically people were just accusing him of being anti-Semitic, just making all these claims about him and his beliefs, and ultimately they don't even know the guy's beliefs, right? It doesn't make any sense. For example, if you post it, I could post any movie or even a documentary, like to assume that I believe every part, like everything that's stated in that particular movie or piece of information, it wouldn't make any sense. It would be illogical, right? So it was kind of unfair for him. Was the NBA wrong in how they handled it? And Nike ultimately dropped Kyrie. Were they wrong? It's dicey, bro. It's dicey. You know what I'm saying? And the reason why I say it's dicey, because the NBA is obviously a global marketing firm, and their PR is out of this world, right? So if any group feels offended, the NBA is not going to stand for that. And the reason why they're not going to stand for that is because they want to be able to be in every market globally, culturally, right? They want to be in every single market, and they don't want to offend anybody. They want to remain as neutral as possible. So it's obvious people were offended by it. So their job is to make sure that, we appease these people, right? But the biggest thing with Kyrie was, instead of just labeling him, like, who the hell are people to try to label you something, especially in a context where he didn't say anything, he just posted something, right? So Nike, the NBA, and Kyrie, all of this could have easily been solved with a simple conversation that was focused on understanding with Kyrie. They could have just said, hey, Kyrie, I see you posted this movie. What's your thoughts on it? Some people are offended. And none of it made any sense. It was like a gotcha kind of moment, as opposed to trying to have a conversation with Kyrie to try to understand what his thoughts are. He looks to unify people. He's not trying to attack a particular group. But And that's why it gets so scary, bro, because with narratives, you know, there's this thing called groupthink, you know, where generally speaking, the media has so much control because people, like obviously consumers who watch the media, all they have to do is watch a particular article, watch something that says anything about a particular player. They could say this player is the best in the world, they're amazing, right? And then all of a sudden, all of these people who watch these platforms, they assume the same opinion. But then they can also say, yo, this player is the worst person ever. They're this, they're that, and ultimately boot you out of the league, right? And attack your entire character. And what's so sad about society is so many people who watch these platforms, they will assume that position, right? They'll assume it. Like I can literally, even with the homie Russell Westbrook, right? Russell Westbrook was getting destroyed. Obviously, he didn't have, like, his play was a big part of it, but he was getting attacked, rightly so, because he wasn't playing the best. But for like so many other things, his character was getting attacked, who he was as a person. And then all of a sudden now the media machine decides to say, oh yeah, Russell Westbrook's awesome, he's the best. He's obviously playing a little bit better. He's playing much better in his new role, so that was a part of the factor. But just generally speaking, like, Russell's been playing his game, and it's the coach's job to put him in a position to be as successful as possible. And to an extent, obviously, it's Russell Westbrook's job to be able to accept the role that his coach gives him. But the more important thing that I care about was, like, the narrative around him, right? Everybody loves Russell Westbrook now, right? Same thing with even Kyrie, right? They were just destroying Kyrie, saying you're this, right? Even with the whole COVID thing. Like the COVID thing, when he just said, yo, bro, I don't want to, you know what I'm saying? Like, I don't want to take this vaccine. Obviously, he's a very young individual. I believe the vaccines were proven to not actually reduce the spread or reduce the spread of it. And for him, he felt like I'm assuming he felt like his immune system was strong enough that he didn't need the vaccine. And he was ultimately crucified for it. And there was other players in the league who were from different jurisdictions, obviously different NBA teams, so they're under different states that have different rules. Some dudes didn't even take the vaccine, and they were good just based on which team they played for, right? So it's so important for people, bro, to try just as a people globally to just take a second and try to understand each other, as opposed to just looking and just being thirsty for outrage, fam. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like, some of you guys are really being thirsty for outrage, as opposed to like, yo, fam, let's see what this person is really about, trying to get more understanding, leading with a little bit more empathy. That's going to have a huge impact generally on our society, right? Trying to lead with empathy and trying to understand a person's perspective, as opposed to assuming the worst and trying to attack their character, when it would be much better suited if we can just kind of discuss these ideas. You know what I'm saying? Blessings to everybody. You guys already know what time it is. I go by the name of Marvin Light. This is Working Vacation. Peace.
Please leave a message after the tone.